Hey howdy hey superheroes, whether you're Kryptonian or human with money, I don't know. Wolfman 47 dash here. Excuse me. So, Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. It was a film, the second film in the DC Extended Universe, and one of many times where Superman and Batman, and the sun's just gone in my face, have fought. Now, leading up to this film, there wasn't really much build-up. It's pretty much the second film of the DC Extended Universe, and for a film like that, I'd expect there to be build-up. And good examples of build-up to an event like that is in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where during Infinity War, it wasn't until Phase 3 where Iron Man and Captain America went against each other in Captain America Civil War. And this would have been quite a few films in at that point, so lots of build-up. Another good example is Legendary's Monsterverse, which Warner Brothers themselves distribute as well. The Godzilla X Kong film, no, Godzilla vs. Kong, and that's the one after that. That had plenty of build-up with 3 films, Godzilla, Kong Skull Island, and Godzilla King of the Monsters. So it had 3 films before getting to that point. I think with Batman v Superman, had Warner Brothers and DC really planned it properly and not ended up being the sort of mess that it ended up becoming, we would have had films between Man of Steel and Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. So my idea would have been a Batman film following from Man of Steel, then a Man of Steel sequel, and then probably at that point maybe have a Wonder Woman or an Aquaman, have the Wonder Woman or Aquaman film, and then Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. It would have built up to that film. Then after that, all the other films, and you can draw your conclusions there. So I think out of all the takes of having the two heroes fight one another, it's actually not the absolute worst take, because it does actually spend a lot. The film is spent a lot of time building up to that moment, and in the Ultimate Edition of the film, it builds up even more, but having some scenes make more sense than others. Political stuff aside and everything, it's not too bad of a film, but it's not really the sort of film I would have expected as the second installment in the DC Extended Universe. In the takes when it comes to having Superman and Batman fight, many people know that Superman could probably easily overpower Batman should Batman have not had much preparation or didn't know next to little about Superman. But because this is Batman, there is a thing that people don't, or that always underestimate when it comes to Batman, and that is that he is smart. He has money, he has smarts, he's got gadgets, and when given enough time to be able to investigate things, the world's greatest detective can easily detect things, and will figure out when something is wrong, and will do what he can to protect the world from threats like Superman. And that's the reason why in the film he armoured himself up and had a kryptonite spear to be able to defeat Superman. Obviously at this point Lex Luthor had manipulated the two into trying to kill each other, but this ultimately led to no avail when they realised that they have to work together to defeat this version of Doomsday, which for many years is known as one of the few villains that's been able to kill Superman.
Stay with me. Please, stay with me.
That thing. Is he?
Yes. You You saved everyone.
Good. It's all I ever wanted. Except for you. What a lucky man I was.
No, no, no.
Whether it be just by wearing him out or just being a formidable foe, Doomsday has always been that one character that has been able to defeat and kill Superman for most versions of the character that we've seen so far. Now, in other takes for when Bats and Superman fight one another, I think the Injustice and probably Dark Knight Returns versions do it a bit better. So let's talk about Injustice first. So Injustice is the Mortal Kombat of the DC universe, created by the same studio, NetherRealm Studios, as Mortal Kombat. The games themselves are set sort of well into the sort of war between Superman and Batman, but the general premise of it, and it's pretty simple premise, is Metropolis gets blown up by the Joker, and in that Superman not only loses Lois Lane, he also loses his unborn son that was inside Lois Lane at the time, and pretty much all his friends and so forth in that city, with the exception of the Justice League members that weren't actually in the city at the time, for reasons. So during an interrogation by Batman, he storms in and rips the Joker's heart out, ultimately killing him. And at this point, you'd assume that Superman would actually spend time mourning the loss of his wife after having dealt with revenge and everything, but actually he does the opposite. He becomes a tyrant and kind of forces and kind of makes it clear that he will be taking care of crime and not give the criminals any reason to flee or whatever. So he will actually rule the world with an iron fist, which Batman is very much against, because for many years Batman is the only Justice League member that in that universe actually believes in justice, and that criminals should not be killed, should not be neutralized or anything like that. And that's when he goes against Superman and forms his own small resistance in an attempt to try and combat him, making super pills and everything. And I think the overall franchise is a good franchise. You've got two critically acclaimed video games, a very, very well written comic book series that many of you should read, because it's a great comic book series. And the film, the animated film, yeah, it's not brilliant, but it does kind of follow the same premise, just condensed and all that. And I personally would have preferred if they decided to expand on that and split it into several films instead of being just one condensed film. So yeah, so that's Injustice. And as for The Dark Knight Returns, so this is a comic book that was turned into a two-part film adaptation in animation. And this version doesn't really have... It does have build-up to the fight, but it's not really the sort of fight that we would be expecting with Batman v Superman, because in the Dark Knight Returns universe, and this has nothing to do with the Christopher Nolan films, just to be clear, it's its own thing, Superman and Batman are old and kind of sort of retired, in that Batman is no longer Batman. Superman is no longer the hero he once was. He's more of a government agent working for the government, which is something that Superman, in many versions of him, is firmly against. But in this take, he is working for the government. And in the sort of second half of the story, Superman is sent by the government to take care of Batman, which Batman is ultimately and Batman convinces Clark Kent that there's much more, that he should be left alone, which he does because of the many wars and so forth that are happening that he has to take on. So it's kind of not really, doesn't really make much sense for Superman to go against Batman, and there's not really any reason why they should go against one another. It's just that later on in the film, Gotham has become the most peaceful city in the world, and the government are embarrassed by that fact and want Superman to teach Batman a lesson, and this ultimately leads into a sort of stalemate in the battle. You see, during the fight, Bruce Wayne is revealed to have a heart attack, and at this point people think that Superman by default has won, but in actual fact Batman is still alive. He's just faked his death. And that's kind of led to a stalemate in that neither died, but they did kind of both feel defeated. Superman felt defeated when Bruce Wayne battled him as Batman, and Bruce Wayne is defeated because he had to flee by faking a heart attack. So yeah, so that's two other versions of Batman v Superman, and I think for the Zack Snyder version of this film, I think it's an okay take, and as I say, it's a film that does spend a lot of time building up to that moments. Lots of government moments, lots of scenes in court, a sex scene between Lois Lane and Clark Kent, which, even though it isn't really a sort of sex scene in the original theatrical cut, it does expand towards a sex scene in the ultimate cut because Henry Cavill takes his top off.
You need to fly the Berkeley.
And all the female fans and all the male fans that are into males like myself know that Henry Cavill is a very good looking, handsome, hot man. And I'll say no more than that with that. So I think overall the whole thing with Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, it could have been made a whole lot better. It could have been a film that they could have spent a lot of time building up to with other films. If Warner Brothers and DC decided to get their minds into it. But I think the reason why it ended up being the way it is because they wanted to catch up desperately with Marvel and forgot the fact that fans like us can wait. And this is a thing that is common with a lot of major studios. They want to release stuff too soon that they forget that lots of us can wait and are happy to wait for them to sort of perfect it, get the final touches in, everything, and all that stuff. So yeah. I don't really know if there's much else to say about it, but if it was up to me, I'd say Batman should be the winner. And the reason I say that is because, as I said earlier on in the video, lots of people forget that Batman is a smart man and spends a lot of time studying his allies and enemies, trying to figure out their strengths, their weaknesses, and ways to defeat them. And it's led to him, and in different versions of the Justice League stories, this has led to him making some contingency plans which he would use should the Justice League ever go rogue, which was explored in the DC story Tower of Babel, which itself was adapted into the animated film Justice League Doom. Seeing Batman's contingency plans be used against the heroes. And as you might expect for Superman, it's basically a simple case of shooting him with a kryptonite bullet.
Kryptonite bullet. Kryptonite heart.
it to kill him. That's how it is, or just using any form of kryptonite. And then you got one for Wonder Woman, where she just needs to keep trying to defeat characters to the point where she is about to lose all sweat, tears, and all that. Flash just needs to keep running for a long time with a bomb attached, which will explode if he doesn't do anything. And what else? And yeah, there's others too. But yeah, that's pretty much what I think about Batman v Superman, Henry Cavill being. V Superman, Henry Cavill being hot and all that side. So yeah, that's all I've got to say. I'd love to hear what you think in the comments below about whether you think Superman should have won or Batman won but differently or any other thing. But don't ever underestimate your heroes, especially when it comes to these two heroes, because Batman won't be human, but he is smart, intelligent, has a lot of gadgets, and will do and plans things in advance. Superman, on the other hand, he just goes in their fists coming in and all that. But yeah, so yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. See you in the next one. Peace to you all. It's not who you are underneath, but it's what you do that defines you, as Batman always says. And I don't know if there's a motto for Superman, but other than just do what you can to remember to always have hope. Things will get better, and if they don't get better, just make them try to get better. All you can do is try. Screw what Yoda says. There is a try. It's not a simple case of do or do not. There is a try. So yeah. Alright. Toodles.
But I didn't have to go easy on you. A different binding agent, a stronger mix. I want you to remember that. I wanted to remind you to stay out of my way. In all the years to come, in your most private moments, I want you to remember the one man who beat you.